All right. Hey, my I'm lagging like a dog right now, boys. I don't know what's going on. So, but hey, that's live. That's live television, right? Either way, boys, welcome to the week three recap, fellow listeners, and this is the Gridiron Uncensored podcast. For those listening on Spotify and all that stuff, it's the usual crew: Trevor, Blake, and myself tonight. So we appreciate you guys joining. Of course, looks like we got five in here, so I'd say we just kind of roll on. What do you guys think?
Yeah, let's get on. Let's get it going.
Let's get it on, as they
Let's
say
get
in
it on.
MXC. If you guys never watched MXC, by the way, you're missing out. Greatly on one of the best TV shows ever created. Go check it out. Either way, we're going to start off week three review. We always kind of jump off with our pick 'em, how it kind of looked over the week or the weekend, and then we'll move on to our gridlocks and talk a little bit about the AP poll that dropped today. So, Trev, let's get our pick 'em, and it was a pretty good week for Blake and I. Trev back to 5-5.
I don't want to talk about it because I took some flyers, and I'll tell you what right now, outside of Arizona, my flyers almost worked out.
Dude, you were close, man. You were close. And so many of these teams.
Purdue wasn't there either. That was stupid, but whatever.
Okay, yeah, I fell for that too. I was like, look, Notre Dame, they're done. They're cooked. And then what do they do?
Kansas,
they go out and they fried them.
Me over too. I'm never picking Kansas again. Colt, you were right. I'm never picking Kansas again. That's it. I'm done.
In our defense, West Virginia was robbed.
Yeah.
They got screwed by the officiating on the third down where the holding got called on their touchdown. I mean, it was unreal. And then they blocked the punt the very next play. So that was one of the worst calls I've ever seen in my life.
And I mean, yeah, and as far as South Carolina goes, it sums it up with quarterback play, period.
Yeah.
When you can't throw the ball and you become one-dimensional on the ground, it makes it really easy.
They needed Sellers in there.
Yes, they needed him bad. Unfortunately, he couldn't go. But
yeah, and officiating was an issue this weekend, but quarterback play too. We're going to talk about that plenty.
What's his name? God dang, I had his name written down. I don't have my piece of paper here. Number one for South Carolina. What was his name? And anyway, I gave him a lot of credit because, I mean, he got in there and I think he did pretty good.
The quarterback?
Yeah.
It was Robbie Ashford from Auburn.
That's right. Ashford. That's right. Yeah. It was just like, I mean, he did throw a couple dimes. I give him credit. Like, he did throw a couple good passes.
Yeah, I mean, look, he jumped in. He did all right when he needed to, but they just couldn't pass all game. And we'll talk more about the South Carolina game because that one was absolutely wild. But pick 'em wise, pretty solid week for us. Blake and I moving up. Total on the season 21-13. He and I are tied. Trev at 18-16. He's not far behind. Gridlock though, I nailed that one, baby, and at the demise of one of our longtime listeners and friend. But hey, we said it was going to happen. He begged us to let it happen, and it did. So hey, look, I got 4 points this week, 2-1 on the season. Trev 0-3 on the gridlocks. So close last week, no cigar this go around, and same with Blake on the North Texas pick. God, that got ugly.
I was not expecting that. Was not expecting that.
No, hey, of all the group of 5 teams that went out and played well, I really thought North Texas was going to be one of those that could do it, and they got
their offense was clicking on all cylinders, and they matched up well on paper to the strengths and weaknesses of Tech. And I was shocked too, and it was bad, quick, like 38-6 or something at halftime.
Well, the same kind of for me is honestly, I mean, I thought Middle Tennessee would have put up more of a fight against Western Kentucky, but I was wrong.
Yeah, it just it didn't drop. But I like it's going for those the big spreads, trying to get something like that. So that was a good week for me on that one. And hopefully
I don't think Florida State's going to get another spread like that anytime in the near future.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Cal's next, right? So
I might pick them. Shit.
But hey, so that's our gridlocks of the week. Make sure you guys throw in yours. I think we had the fans like to they comment on Facebook posts. They had some good picks out there too. So make sure you keep commenting your gridlocks of the week when we post our next episode. And now AP poll movers and losers. Really nothing huge on the movement part. Either way, we did have some guys drop out. Movers moving up. Texas A&M's back in. They've moved up one. Miami's gone up 2 poll positions to number 8. Tennessee's jumped up 1 spot. And then Texas has jumped Georgia to be number 1. I think that's deservedly so personally. But, I mean, other than that, it's nothing huge on the movers. Losers, Penn State down 2. It's nothing against them. They just dropped. Michigan down 1. Another kind of poor outing from them. Boston College dropped out. Arizona dropped out after losses. So other than that, others receiving votes, Memphis, Boise State, both on the outside looking in, Syracuse, UNLV as well. And California is sitting back there too. Just keep an eye out for them and all these MAC teams that are stacking up after some really good wins this week. Guys, let's move on and let's talk about the main stories of the weekend. And Friday night, first one that jumped in was the Arizona versus Kansas State game. And really, I thought it would be a little bit closer than that. But Arizona's got nothing going right now. Offensively, it's Fafita and McMillan, and that's it. They can't run. It's just kind of ugly. Play calling, I don't really care for either, but they don't trust their line, I guess. Kansas State-wise, though, their 3-headed running monster of Johnson, Giddens, and Edwards is nice. But I don't know. My question's still on Avery and his passing attack. What do you guys think from that game?
Well, I think Arizona just showed us exactly what they are. We've been saying, you all have been saying it. I've even admitted to it as well, is that Arizona is kind of a one-trick pony. Take a quote from Blake from I think last week, but they are, and Kansas State's a little bit too good of a team to only have no running game and have no balance, and they showed it. That game definitely showed what Arizona is going to be, and I don't think that they are going to be anything in the Big 12 at all.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have a team that is one-dimensional, especially when it's a passing team that's one-dimensional, and you face a team that can run the ball and you cannot stop it.
Yep.
I mean, that's the outcome that's going to happen 9 out of 10 times. And, I mean, that's exactly what I figured was going to happen. And, it did.
Yeah. And for Arizona, the world's not over yet. This doesn't count as a conference game, but It doesn't look good. And that's something they really got to figure this thing out, before they get into, actual Big 12 play. But they could easily, if things, go well for them, they could see Kansas State again in the Big 12 championship game. But I just don't see it going that far at this point. My expectations for them have dropped a little bit, but that one finished 31-7. Next game from the Big 12 side, UNLV and Kansas. What a game from UNLV. They came out away winning 23-20. And really, Jalen Daniels just disappointing this season. But before that, we were always like, all right, he was injured. Wait till he gets back. Well, now he's back and his picks galore. And he's, to me, he's really holding this team back. On the other side, Sluka for UNLV. That dude put the game on his freaking back, bro. And his running ability was insane. Yeah, Mark Arnold, he comments. He says Dona's done. Yeah, I agree. I think they're done.
Yep.
They're cooked. Kansas wise, I think they're done too. I mean, what just embarrassing for from when you look at their schedule and how easy it was.
And to have a returning starting quarterback that has has shown that he's been fairly consistent, that he's pretty darn good, and that he's just laying a complete and utter egg is just baffling to me. That you can have that big of a fall off from one year to another.
Yeah, it's disappointing. Blake, what do you think on this one?
Nope. Okay. Sweet.
Blake, you there, buddy? Oh, he's gone.
Okay. He's
All
gone.
right. Well, hey, listen again. It's live, boys and
It's
girls.
live.
This happens. Internet.
I'm sure he would have the same sentiment about that. That we did about Kansas.
That's that North Alabama internet, Tennessee. All right. We joke because mine goes to hell. You know, it's Comcast. Okay. Or whoever the hell we have. Spectrum. Yeah, same thing. Whatever. So either way, Kansas, they're gone. I don't know. Dude was legit FBI guy. I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments. Like, what the hell's going on in there? All right, let's move on. We got Georgia and Kentucky. Oh, this game.
That was a fun game to watch.
I think the whole college football world's just sitting there, like, you know, begging for Kentucky to win this one.
Is this happening?
Is it going to happen? And really,
week 3, we're gonna have absolutely crazy madness happen. Because honestly, going back to like the movers and losers and stuff like that, I really don't think Texas is the best team in the country, but I don't have a team that's better than them right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're at least scoring. They're proving it, you know, week in and week out so far. I know Michigan's not what they were last year, but you know, they still, you know, talent wise, they've got talent. Yep. Texas just, you know,
Texas is the only team that's really played anybody. I mean, and been consistent.
Yeah, so I mean,
they've earned it in that regard.
Even with their starting quarterback going down, you know, Manning came in and he did his thing. We'll talk more about him later. But Georgia, you know, coming out, Carson Beck didn't have a great week. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't great. Looking for other receiving threats to help him out. ETN, you know, is a fine back, but Georgia only got 3.4 yards per carry. Kentucky, on the other hand, Vandegrift, still not a great passer. Their passing schemes I don't like, but running the ball, they did pretty damn well. So they were able to move the ball, but they just played scared. And to me, that's all coaching. Blake's back in, by the way, Trev, if you want to throw him in. But coaching-wise for Kentucky, it's just they played scared. It seemed like they were afraid to lose the game, and then you end up losing the game. You can't kick field goals against Georgia and punt the ball, you know, with what, 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left, and expect to win the game. You've got to play harder than that. And he just embarrassing performance by Mark Stoops. What do you guys think on that Kentucky loss? That was all on them.
I really think Vandegrift is actually a good quarterback if they start calling plays a little bit more often and like they have a better flow of their play calling. Because I just think Stoops is just inept at play calling and playing, like you said, playing scared and running scared from a team that honestly I thought his team was outplaying most of that game.
Yeah, I mean they were moving the line of scrimmage, Blake.
I felt like Georgia's D-line was giving them a fit. I mean, they were struggling to block. Even when they was bringing 3, they was getting a lot of pressure on Vandegrift.
Yeah,
and he was all pretty on point for the most part, most of the night though, to be under that much pressure. Especially there at the end though, there was several passes that he had that were just a little high and a little out of reach to people that were open. But I mean, they were there. And as far as the punt, I can see why he punted because I think there was almost 4 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, it was actually, I think it was like three something.
Yeah, I think it was like 3:48, something like that. And their defense had held Georgia majority of the night. And I think he was trying to play the whole, you know, pin them inside their 10, stop them. We've got the ball right back where we are now. But at that point, I mean, I would have went for it personally. I feel like, you know, to win those kind of games, you have to take those kind of chances.
Yep.
And then the clock management, calling that timeout at like 2:09 when you have the 2-minute warning coming. I did not understand that at all. I was like, did you really save anything with those 9 seconds? No. And had he have saved that timeout, there's a different story there at the end of the game. You might have the ball back with 50 seconds versus, 10 seconds. And I mean, that cost him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. And going back to what you said about the defense, I do agree with you to a certain degree that the Georgia defense was kind of having their way. But at the same time, they were horrible, in my opinion, on rush defense. I could not believe that the Kentucky line was actually moving them and creating holes for that little itty bitty running back.
Yeah.
That Kentucky has, and he was gashing them for 4, 5, 6 yards each time he was going after. I thought that was the biggest surprise to me, is that Georgia was letting that happen.
And I don't remember the exact number, but I think they had. I know the game started with like 3 of their starters were out. But I think by the end of it, after injury, I think they were missing 5 starters that game, which is significant.
Well, usually their 4th or 5th string is still a 5-star D lineman. So,
I mean, that don't always matter. That was like Alabama's offensive line last week was replaced with 2 5-stars, and we got manhandled by South Florida.
Yep.
I mean, it don't always matter.
Yeah. Now, I don't know, if this. Just like last week with Alabama struggling, they go in. We'll talk about Wisconsin here in a little bit, but I don't know how much this is really going to sell about Georgia. But I mean, we'll see moving forward. Maybe this is the spark they needed. Who knows? But I don't know. I was kind of surprised. Only 100 rushing yards for Georgia, 160 passing. Expect more from them moving forward. Next game up on the list, Boston College, Missouri. And this is one that was a little hairy early for Mizzou, but really they ended up controlling it after that. And Boston College did come back late, score a touchdown. But I want to hear your thoughts on this one, guys. Brady Cook looked solid. Castellanos, 2 interceptions that really hurt him. No running game either for Boston College. That was
surprising.
Yeah.
That was good on Mizzou for keeping that under wraps. But Cook did what Cook does. I mean, he's consistent, and they never really got rattled at all during that game, which I thought was the key to the game for Missouri, is just keeping the course, staying the course, and just riding out those flurries that Boston College was having.
Yeah, it went pretty much as expected. I think on the last show I said that Missouri was just a more refined version of Boston College. They're very balanced, and they're just better all the way around. And not having that run game, I think, is what ultimately did Boston College in, along with the turnovers. Because when they was able to sustain their drives, it was believable that they was going to be able to pull it off. But eventually the talent just caught up with them, and they couldn't stop Missouri.
Yeah, and look, I think Boston College is a pretty solid team this year, and we mentioned that in the preseason danger team. Something to watch out for. So I'm curious to see how they do throughout the rest of the ACC schedule. Next game we'll jump on. This one was insane. This was the LSU versus South Carolina game, and
I've never cheered for South Carolina louder. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I have never. I was a Gamecock for all of 4 hours.
It was just the passing attack wasn't great for him. 113 yards from Sellers. He's not bad, but he's not great in my opinion. He is young, but his running ability, that dude's fast as hell. I'll tell you that. Outside of that, Raheem Sanders, he tore him up on the ground. LSU again, defensive struggles. Offensively, Nussmeier only 24 of 40. That's not going to cut it. 1 pick. But I mean, he still put darts out there too. So it was just, I don't know, a strange game. Reffing helped a little bit there at the end too. Yeah. So I know Trevin, his pick'em, was really pissed about that one.
I was whatever. Whatever. I feel like Brian Kelly paid somebody. I know he did. But whatever. But
they're probably scared he's going to break their table.
What's that?
So they was scared he was going to break their table.
Yeah, probably.
He's a purple people eater, bro.
He is a purple people eater. But I was completely shocked. I couldn't believe what I was watching half of this game. One, they had a quarterback that couldn't really do anything, and yet he was still doing something. Like there was plays where they would line up rush 4, drop everyone back, and the one threat that the quarterback had is that the guy could run.
Yeah.
And they had their 4 guys. They rush and spread out, and he just run right through the middle every single time. He did that 4 times in a row before they friggin' put a spy on him. Like, I was like, what is happening right now? Brian Kelly, learn how to coach football, please.
And I mean, they went out and got a defensive coordinator to try to fix this. It's just,
it didn't work. Failed.
I think
miserably. They will not make it to the SEC championship playing like that, period.
Yeah. I think South Carolina, and this isn't like the single thing that was bad enough to cause them to lose the game, but the pick 6 that got called back in the fourth quarter, that I think that getting called back, even though they did go down and get a field goal out of it, that wins
destroyed it.
That wins the game if that stands. And just some of the lack of discipline on the defensive side. There was several times where they kept giving LSU opportunities from penalties, but defensively, that defensive front at South Carolina is something. I mean, there's something to be reckoned with.
They've got a decent defense, man. I'm telling you what, I was impressed. I was impressed.
They really do.
Yeah, if that quarterback grows, I mean, they're a pretty solid team. You know, they got a good running game, and the quarterback situation's not awful. He just needs more experience. I mean, I really like the team.
Hey, wasn't it before the season started, South Carolina and Texas A&M that were going back and forth about
who was better, the culture? Well, South Carolina's got the better culture. It's true. It's just the truth.
There it is. You heard it here first. They're natty. They're going the natty next year.
The real USC.
Oh Lord, the real USC. We're not going to start that battle, but we are going to move on to a sensitive topic, and that's Memphis versus Florida State. And look,
not sensitive for me.
Florida State. God bless.
Just saying.
I don't know what else to say, man. They just look lethargic out there. Florida State's just not. I don't know. I was expecting more. Final score is 20-12 from Memphis. They're on to 3-0. Florida State 0-3. DJU, I don't know. He had moments where he can throw a dart, but then for the most part, he's getting blitzed so heavy. He freaks out under pressure. What do you guys think?
DJU is like, I don't even know. Like he is what we thought he was. I didn't think he was going to be the answer. I mean, you go from what you had last year to DJU. It's like just completely stark difference. Zero athleticism. The guy is like 270 pounds trying to huck a football down the field and escape rushers that are just gashing the offensive line. It's just not going to work well. Like you can't, I don't know. I think Norvell is like living in a dream world that DJU is this athletic quarterback that can kind of get himself out of trouble like his quarterback last year did. I just think that is flawed thinking. And I just don't think Norvell is coaching to the talent that he actually has. I feel like he is falling back to, or trying to revert back to the way he was coaching last year, as opposed to coaching the team that's in front of him. He's just kind of going with the status quo and the way he called plays last year. That's the way I kind of feel. Whether or not that's true or not, it's another thing, but it's just kind of the way it appears to me, at least.
Well, there clearly is something going on down there, but I think a lot of it is just there was very high expectations after their portal class. They go out and they get a lot of big name people that everybody's heard of, and you're just like, and I was one of them, you know. When you looked at like the player rankings and where they got plugged, you're just like, I mean, this is a national championship caliber team with some of the names they've got on the roster, and nothing. I mean, you're 0-3. It's absolutely embarrassing. Yeah. I will never pick him again.
Hey,
I'm picking Cal. I promise you.
I will pick Dayton
Cal.
State.
I am telling you, I'm
Florida
picking Cal.
State.
For Florida State, I feel like again, just the way that the end of last season happened into this one, it's brutal. And we all said like DJU has potential to be something, but at the same time, he's always been kind of in the same mold that, and if he's not getting over that 60% passing, which he's not, it's not going to happen for him. And look where we're at. I'm talking to one of our longtime listeners, a huge Florida State fan, Jared. He mentioned he's like, I think it's time to move on from him. Put in the backup quarterback. Which this comment, imagine the backup quarterback. Yeah, like what's he thinking? Is he horrible? I don't know. But it's got to be better, right? Like time to move on and start working for the future. Because DJU is obviously not going to do it now.
And one other point that I want to touch on is I think it's also with all these transfers that came in, I think it's also a culture issue. I mean, I said it last season when they did the boycott crap. I was like, that's not a good culture to have a coach that supports boycotting a bowl game. I'm sorry, but that's not college football. That's something else. That's not the way we do it. That's not the way it's been done. So I said it then, and I'm saying it now. Florida State has a bad culture issue. Worse in most ways, in my opinion, than Texas A&M's culture problems.
Hey, God dang it. Hey, look, I think Texas A&M did have issues with who they were recruiting and who they were bringing in. Florida State, their issues really kicked off when, like you said, the bowl game, and then everybody. I get why they were pissed. I get trying to boycott and taking a stand. Boycott the damn government. Don't boycott your football program. Go out there and try to make a statement. And they didn't do it, and it's just been downhill since then. Texas A&M, though, I mean, they've made the coaching change. They've done, things to change things around.
They've done a good job of trying to turn that boat around. I mean, last year it is what it was, but
what are they going to do?
Florida State, I mean, they're good.
Boycott wins.
Well, they just gave him like a $10 million contract. So
Jacob made me laugh right in the middle of my sentence.
Hey, I don't know. Catching strays. Oh Lord. It's the Gridiron Uncensored, baby. Anybody's but in a way he's right. I mean, it's just at what point do you say bye Norvell and just time to change everything about it? Burn the person. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know, and I don't know about that just yet, Colt. But I think if they lose a couple more, you're gonna definitely hear it. You're gonna definitely hear that talk. Yeah, Norvell is going to be in some big trouble if he doesn't fix it. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Florida State, but I mean, an 0-4 start is very possible here with Cal coming up soon. Let's jump on next team. Pitt, West Virginia. This was a really crazy game. Blake, you had mentioned again officiating another game where there was issues, but I swear to God, I turned away for a minute because like West Virginia had just thrown that really nice touchdown pass along the sideline there. I turned away for a couple minutes, had some stuff to take care of. I come back and they're like about to lose. I'm like, whoa, what the hell happened? So I don't know. Garrett Green. He did fine 2 interceptions, though. That's not, I'm expecting more from him from what we were saying preseason. But Holstein, solid game, and we'll talk about him a little bit later on too. Gentlemen, your thoughts on this one? Go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, I was what we talked about with West Virginia in our previews was anytime they got in a tight game, they usually lost that game. Yep. And this was just a continuation of that. They've still yet to be able to show that they can go into a hostile environment and handily win a game. Now, granted, I do believe they was robbed in this game, but it should have never came down to it because there was several drives. I mean, I think there was some poor play calling multiple times throughout the game. There was just a lot left on the field on the West Virginia side, but I give a lot of props to Pittsburgh too because Eli Holstein, he played a phenomenal game. I think he only had 5 incompletions, threw for over 300. He moved around a lot. He had some nice runs. Really, the West Virginia had no answer the whole entire game. And the 2 turnovers, they killed him. Granted, one of them was at the end of the game, but just a lot of miscues out of West Virginia.
Yeah, there really were. And but defensively, they had a solid outing. I mean, they had multiple sacks, plenty of tackles for loss. But, and they stopped them really on the run, only 2.7 yards per carry. But
I think
again,
Pitt's going to have the hashtag Save Narduzzi by the end of the season. They're going to just kind of have it everywhere. I'm just saying.
They're hoping, man. Hey, look.
Well, they play like that, and that quarterback plays like that. Psh, look out.
He's got a dog in him. I'll tell you that. He's got some energy. It was nice to see. But yeah, West Virginia, I called them pretenders, and they're showing to be that. Unfortunately, I just don't think Neil Brown's the guy for them. Last year, there's the same thing. They can't win the big games. This one's a rivalry game. I know Pitt's had their struggles, as a team, but I mean, Pitt's 3-0 right now. West Virginia's 1-2. They're on the flip side of this.
Yep.
So now who's the real struggle bus?
Surprisingly, Narduzzi has them playing with some passion, with some grit. He
certainly does. Let's move on, guys. UCF, TCU. This game was absolutely nuts as well. And really, at halftime, I thought it was probably close to being done. I think it was 28-7 at one point. And Hoover was dealing, bro. This guy, quarterback for TCU, he was just dropping dimes, and it was a beautiful performance. But then things started to fade away, and KJ Jefferson and the teams, they came back. RJ Harvey was just feasting on the ground, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just really incredible comeback for UCF, and TCU gets the bad end of the deal, and they go down 35-34. Did you guys get to watch that game? Any thoughts on it?
Not really. No, I missed this one.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, I see the highlights and stuff of it, but
dude, I was running that quad box at that hour, man, from YouTube TV, because there's another game. I can't remember right at the same time, but it was like back and forth. I'm like, holy shit, how's this one going to play out? But it was a really good game. TCU can't run the football, only 58 yards rushing, but by God, they were throwing it everywhere. And I'll tell you what, Beck is his name, tight end for TCU. That dude, 9 receptions, 200 yards. I mean, he was going at it. And they were tough catches. They were beautiful routes. So that's a guy to watch moving forward. But really good game. Blake, next game up, Alabama, Wisconsin. Obviously, Van Dyke goes down early. A game changer for Wisconsin. We've seen Braden Locke play before. There's nothing special. I'm going to get your takes on this game, and then we'll move on to kind of a quick round robin of games.
Yeah, I thought it's amazing what 2 players on the offensive line, how big of a difference it makes, because it looked like a completely different team out there. And I was worried about Milroe in the beginning because he was starting to show some of his old tendencies, looking a little confused. He had a couple overthrows. But once he got the running game going, which we really hadn't tested this year, that opened up a lot. And I think once he got his confidence going, I mean, he hit some dimes throughout the game. He had a much, much, much better passing game this week than he has. Probably one of his best performances I've seen as far as his accuracy. It was nice to see when he got under pressure, not scrambling back 25 yards. He hit a couple of his check downs. He was actually reading through the field, not just staring receivers down, though he did do that a couple of times even late in the game. But for the most part, I was happy with his improvements. Defensively, I thought we looked sharp as ever. There was a couple of times in the secondary our young guys got burned, and just luckily, again, quarterback wasn't able to hit them. But all in all, I'm pleased with what DeBoer has going down there.
Yeah, defensively, they looked really good. A lot of turnovers too. Trev?
I want to see them get into a dogfight before I'm all in. I want to see them get into a dogfight with somebody, because as of right now, they're just airing it out and they're just doing They're just sending their speedsters, and they're just better. They're just faster than the teams that they're playing. So I'm ready to see them into a true dogfight with insert SEC team here.
Well, we got Georgia next, so
well then this will be the true test of that offense.
Yep.
And
because there will be corners that will be able to cover Williams, and there will be able to cover those wide receivers.
Yeah.
And Kirby Smart's going to have schemes to make sure those wide receivers don't get loose.
Yeah. And both Georgia and Alabama have a bye week this weekend, and then they go play each other. So I mean that'll be a test, and maybe Georgia's woken up after this close one, and I was looking at the comments, but I'm curious to see how Bama does in that game. But again, Milroe is chaos, so that's why you got to let him fly. He's a peacock, you got to let him fly. They'll do hey. I'm gonna talk Michigan real quick before we get into our little speed session. For Michigan side of us, fans, again, not a great performance. We finally changed our center, and communication got a lot better. And finally, Davis Warren was sat down after another horrible performance, and Orji immediately made the offense look a little bit better. And it's not even because he can pass, but it's because of his threat to really be athletic. And I think you just have to ride him and see what happens against USC. Michigan, though, disappointing. I don't know. I want to see something change.
I like Orji. He's just not a good enough passer. You can't miss a wide open guy going down the numbers and you overthrow him. You can't overthrow your guys. Like I don't understand. I don't understand that. He didn't have anybody in his face either. So
that was to me when I watched that one, Trev, though, Fred Moore did the same thing on the week or 2 weeks before with Warren at quarterback, and he stopped his route. Like he slows up. And that's twice now he's done that.
The pass was a good 5 yards ahead of him.
Yeah, but when you slow down, though, that's two strides.
You got to run the routes. I just think there's a little lack of passion on Michigan right now. I don't know what it is. They don't have that energy like they had under Harbaugh.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just finding an identity, and I think that'll happen a little bit more with Orji. But he's not going to be a pass. Like he's not. I don't think he's a good passer. But he brings athleticism.
It's got to be mid passes only.
Yeah,
short to mid, like doing the dink dunks, the slants, the crossing patterns.
And we'll see. I don't know. We'll see that against USC pretty soon here. Looking at the comments, so is Bama better than Kentucky?
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Says, hell no, they're not.
Yeah, yes. They're better. I'm just trolling right now. But no, Alabama's 10 times better than Kentucky.
Oh, damn. There's some trash talk going in the comments. Kansas State versus Florida State. This is beautiful. Keep it up, guys. We appreciate it.
Kansas State wins.
Lord. Yeah, I mean, on the field this year. But hey, look, let's go on and talk about a little round robin action.
Sure.
I'll mention these games. Boys, come in if you want at the end of this little run. Arizona State, Texas State. I went to that game. It was really cool atmosphere. Texas State let that game get away from them, though. Arizona State did come back. Levitt had a decent game. Scattaboo, their running back, not a great number and yardage, but he got the key plays when he needed it for Arizona State. McLeod and team, though, I thought they did good. They just left it out on the field. Oklahoma, Tulane. Oklahoma pulls that one out. Tulane, I don't really think they had a chance. I think they were just out of energy, like we mentioned. They just kind of looked a little more flat this week. Notre Dame somehow finds life after he was probably threatened, and I'm talking about Freeman, who was probably threatened in the back room somewhere, and they came out with a huge win against Purdue. Texas A&M with a backup quarterback in Marcel Reed, at the last minute came out and won against Florida, had a nice performance. He shook the dog out of some defenders. That was beautiful. Want to see how he does moving forward. And then Washington State comes in, beats Washington. Washington, I like Jedd Fisch, but they lost so much. I thought hell, Washington State did too. So I want to see him turn that around for them. Georgia State, nice win versus Vanderbilt. That's a big one for the group of 5. Indiana smoked UCLA. Toledo destroyed Mississippi State. And then the last one, Colorado, they beat Colorado State. Unfortunately, we were all rooting for them. Boys, that was a round robin. Anything from those games before we finish off here with a couple
Coach Prime needs to shut the fuck up.
I hate Colorado. I agree.
hate
STFU,
'em.
Dion.
Yeah.
Seriously.
The
Shador needs to shut up.
cockiness. It's annoying.
The whole Sanders family, please shut up.
Instead,
Please.
well, the real Sanders
Love
family.
God.
Oh, geez, dude, it's too damn much. And I
don't
don't
know-
mind a
I
little
don't know if
trash
you guys-
talk and being, proud of yourself, but god dang, man, this shit.
He's like
whack.
straight up saying he still thinks they're a national title contender or something. I'm like, can I get what
Hey,
you got?
They're
Can I get what
2-1,
you
man.
spoken, homie? Because you on something special.
God dang, it's wide open for him. But hey, that's let me say. Oh, where to go? Oh, hold on. Let me say I'm the biggest hater. Yes, I love it.
And to God,
Oh,
I will
my-
be the biggest hater of Colorado going forward.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then see who. Hey,
Straight up.
Colorado, they gave away their running back to Kansas State, and he's doing well for
Only
Kansas
person
State.
worth
So,
a damn on that team is Travis Hunter.
yeah,
Travis
Hey, I mean,
Hunter's the real deal, and he's going to be a really good player in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm tired of them already. Hopefully they lose soon. Boys, we did fan section. Trev, if you want to go ahead and shoot it up there. We always do the segments, kicking it up a notch, player and team of the week. We're asking the fans to help us out. So this is our first fan answer. And we went with Curtis Rourke, who was the one that had the most likes on Twitter. He had 25 of 33 for 307 yards and 4 touchdowns. Indiana's now 3-0. They smoked UCLA, really nice. And then Toledo, great win for them. They beat the hell out of Mississippi State on the road. So that's a really nice win for them. Honestly, the MAC is having a great season so far. The group of 5 is too. We had some other guys that were pretty close, honorable mentions. Blake, do you have anybody you want to mention? Trev, what about you?
I had Eli Holstein as my player of the week. Just the way he brought back Pitt to win that game. I mean, I thought it was good leadership, and it's only his 3rd start. I mean, that's solid to me.
Yep. And I know after the fact everybody's talking how bad Florida State is, but I still think that Memphis as a team, being almost a 7, I think it was a 6.5 point underdog, going in and beating them by 6 points is pretty darn, or no, 8 points. I still think that's impressive for a group of 5 team to go in and knock off a Power 4.
Yeah, I mean, really, they've had a very nice performance there. I'm going to go through some of the Facebook comments on our post just to talk about some of these guys that were also mentioned. Arch Manning was brought up a couple times. Yeah, he had a nice performance coming in, but then you had guys from Tennessee. My phone would actually load it. Who do we have
Dylan
here?
Sampson.
Yeah, Dylan Sampson. Thank you. I was like not pulling up,
He's a
but
beast.
he's been at it for the last couple of weeks. He's been doing good. Just honestly, a lot of teams, a lot of guys that can fill this. Kicking it up a notch. Player of the week.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, and Cole, just so you know, I dogged on Kansas. Just so you know, earlier in the episode, if you weren't on yet, I was dogging on Kansas. I just want to let you know, just so you know.
He's calling you late to the party, brother. God, dog. We did have a mention also for Brady Cook. Manning, of course, I mentioned him. And then, that was really it that I'm seeing. Oh, one other one, I had him on Twitter. He had a really nice game as well. But again, my phone is being stupid. Stand by. Where's he at?
What team?
There we go. I got him pulled up. It was Veltkamp. He went 27 of 30 for 398 yards, 5 touchdowns. And that was Western Kentucky versus old Trevor versus old Trevor's gridlock.
Just pouring salt on the wound, man. Just pouring salt on the wound.
My dog was feasting on that team. So just rubbing that salt in the wound there for our boy Trevor. But Colton, you were 10 minutes late. You got to do better. All right. But hey, that's all we got tonight, guys. I don't know. You guys got anything else? Last minute thoughts before closing out tonight?
I'm clean. I'm good.
All set.
Hell yeah. All right.
Good show. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, again, crazy weeks where we got week 4 coming up soon. So we'll get that preview out for you. And hey, right now some of us are hot on our pick'em, so maybe you should follow us and make some money.
You know what? All right. I see how it's going to be.
Hey, I was the comeback kid last year. Okay, now I'm the Tide kid. The Tide Pod. I'm stupid. All right, we're out. We'll see you. Good night.
All right, everybody.
We still live?